Welcome everyone to Conversational Witchcraft with me, Dawn the Kitchen Witch. Before we get into it, we want to make sure that you subscribe to this channel. And if you love what we're doing, you can now support us by clicking the support us link and help us keep bringing you great information and inspiration from all over the world. Don't forget to learn more about me, food magic, and the power of kitchen witchery by visiting me directly at cucinaaurora.com. Okay, today on the show on Conversational Witchcraft, we've got someone really special. We've got Ann Segal. She is an interior designer and a feng shui consultant and the owner and president of the design firm Metro Interiors. She received her BFA in interior design from Northern Illinois University and is certified as a feng shui consultant through the Wind and Water School of Feng Shui. She's a member of the International Feng Shui Guild and the Feng Shui Institute of the Midwest. In her spare time, she loves spending time with her family, studying metaphysical subjects, oil painting, and traveling. Julianne, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to
Thank
have
you.
you.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks, Dawn.
Finally, right? Uh,
Yes, we
we
worked at
we
it.
worked it. We rescheduled this like 100 times. You were supposed to come on like around Christmas, and
Oh,
there
even no, I remember in
in
October.
October, and then
Yes,
right, and then there was something in January, and so
yeah, we're
finally,
here. It's all in good
finally,
timing, all in good timing, all meant to be right now.
right now, so I got your name in your book from your publisher Llewellyn, and
Right.
we're gonna talk about your new book, which is called "Change Your Space to Change Your Life," which immediately got my attention. But I have to tell you why I'm so excited to have you here. Okay,
Okay.
my background is interior design.
Wow, I
Right.
didn't know that.
Most people don't know that about me. It's
That.
I've been being a kitchen witch and running my company, Cucina Aurora, for so long. People don't know that that is my background. I have a degree in interior design. I studied feng shui, so I mean, not like you, just a tiny. I had
Right.
like one little course of feng shui, but
That's fine.
I was so excited to see this book come across my to come into my purview because it was such a part of my life. It's really shaped who I am as a person, as a business owner, as a kitchen witch. Informing how I set up my space is
Right,
really important in my own personal work. So I was
right.
so excited to have you on the show, and I love your book. So I
There
know
it is.
I have it. Ah,
You have it too?
I sure do. So
Hey.
tell us a little bit about you before we hit the record button. You were saying you're a lifelong Midwest girl. You've been out there your whole
Yeah,
life.
I've been here. Let's see, I was born in Cincinnati. And then when I was 10, we moved to Peoria, Illinois, where I lived until I went to college. And I went to Northern Illinois University, where I got my Bachelor of Fine Arts. My emphasis in interior design. I started out as an interior designer. And when I graduated school, I was open to going anywhere. I sent my resumes all over the United States, thinking I was just open. I had nothing to tie me down. And I even remember sending some to England because I thought, well, they speak English, but I didn't go there. I ended up in Minneapolis,
Wow.
Minnesota. I've been here since I was 23 years old and worked for some design firms for maybe 5 or 6 years to get my bearings and what it was really all about.
Yeah.
And started my business when I was, let's see, I was 27 years old when I started my business, and I've had it for 32 years.
Wow.
Even through a divorce and having 4 kids and the whole thing. And I'm just so grateful that I was able to keep it and keep it going all this time. And then in 2000, around 1999, 2000, Feng Shui came to the Midwest. A teacher, Carol Hyder, she wrote the foreword to my book, and I studied and got certified through her. And it was a 2-year program. So by 2003, I was certified in Feng Shui. And I really went there just to learn to help myself
Yeah.
because I was on a verge of a divorce and I just needed some guidance. And this is the way I took my guidance. But immediately upon graduating Feng Shui school, I went right into bringing it into my business and became a feng shui interior designer. It kind of set me apart from others, but it was truly my passion and who I
Right.
was. I really found myself in that.
Right.
I've been doing it ever since, and here I am. And then there was a book in my mind when I was 16 years old because I was reading books like Louise Hay books and Shakti Gawain, if you remember, some very spiritual books. I was only 16, and I thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool one day if I wrote a book? But it took all these years because I realized, I needed the experience. What was I going to write about when I was
Right.
16? And so that's how that came about at some point.
That's just it's so great. And you know, yes, we're going to talk about design. We're going to talk about feng shui. We're going to talk about your book, but also I think again, people don't really understand. Like you are also an entrepreneur. You've had your business since you're 27. Again, another topic that's really near and dear to my heart is one of the reasons why I went into interior design in the first place. Right,
What
like I'm a very visual person. I'm a very tactile person. And I really sucked at school. Like I'm a terrible student, right? And I met my husband and I was like, oh crap, this guy's a musician. I'm gonna have to have a good career. Right. I was like, this, right. That was immediately, I was like, I love him. I don't want to change him. He's gonna be who he's gonna be. So I gotta
that was
make sure that,
smart.
yeah, I
Smart
was
of
like,
you.
right. I'm like, I'm gonna need to have the career. And I was like, well, I'm not good at anything, you know. And I was like, but
Oh,
I could be good at this, you know. I've loved working with my hands. And so I started in the interior design program with the intention of I can't work for someone else.
right.
If I take this program and I get into this industry, I can make my own hours, I can be my own boss, I can be creative, I can be an entrepreneur and do all of this. The industry itself didn't work out for me. I'm from New York originally, and interior design in New York was
I'm sure it was tough.
it was really tough. And
Right.
the clients were fucking assholes. So it's just like
Hard.
it was
I
just
don't like
not,
that. I have really nice clients, but I've intended that in my head.
yeah,
Not, I mean,
yeah,
not that I haven't had some that were difficult. I had to learn
yeah.
the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not for me. But the skills that I learned through that process have kind of, they've informed so much of who I am today. But it's incredible that you're able to take that, go out on your own and create the life that you wanted to have. I think you need to definitely congratulate yourself on that because people can't do that. Lots of people can't
Right.
do that. And you have done that.
I had the balance between the art and the business. And there's a lot of amazing designers out there, but they don't have the business sense. But then they work
Yes.
for architecture firms, or they find another creative outlet within, like becoming a rep for furniture lines,
Yeah.
things of that nature. So everyone just falls into place where they're supposed to go. And
It's crazy. I feel like I'm taking a walk down memory lane with this. Like I worked for
yeah,
Cravat Fabrics.
you did. That's
I
my
worked
favorite line, by the way, of
of
fabrics.
of course. And my job at Cravat was I was hired to start a program called Cravat Select, where we designed for designers. I've been out of it so long
Oh,
that I don't know if the program still exists.
I mean, yes, they have Fat Kravitz Select. It's in my head, but I've been in
Yeah,
it so long that am I thinking the past? But I think it's still around.
could be. It could be.
So I know, yeah.
It was crazy. And then I left Cravat and I went to Duralee. So I was at
Okay.
Duralee for a couple of
Oh,
years.
Durley. Yeah,
Hmm.
I love Durley too, and they're
Yep.
not around here as much. They used to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Reminded me.
I moved from New York to New England. So I left both of I mean, and in between there, I did, like you said, I did, I worked for architects and I worked for, whatever. And the most rewarding design job I ever had was working in commercial design, and I designed a hospice space.
Wow, that's healing.
Yes. And I used a lot of what I had learned from that one semester of feng shui that I had had. to
Cool.
create this, we had the fountain on the wall and the right
Yes.
kind of colors and the right sort of flow through the space. So tell us a
Did
little bit
it.
about how you discover, first of all,
But
explain to our listeners what is feng shui
feng
and
shui,
how is that a spiritual thing for you? And then
well,
how you found it.
right. Feng shui goes back 4,000 years to China, comes from China, and it's a way to create harmony and balance within your space. Because when you have harmony and balance within your space, then it creates harmony and balance within yourself. So your space reflects your life. So that's, that is very spiritual in itself when you think of it that way, because you always have to be working on your inner self, but you can also work on your outer environment to help your inner self. They work hand in hand together to create what you want. And feng shui is a way not only to create harmony and balance, but also put intention into your space.
Mm.
And really big part, I mean, the basic is, making sure you're decluttered, that you only are living with the things you love and use and letting go of the rest, because it opens yourself up to a more spacious life. Your house and your space becomes more spacious, therefore your life becomes more spacious. Everything's kind of a metaphor. Like if a space doesn't feel grounded, then you're not going to feel grounded inside, or it's going to be harder to feel grounded. So I just have that eye and knowledge to look at a space and know what needs to be done to help people to live more harmoniously within themselves and have a more beautiful space. I mean, it's so wonderful to have a space that looks good and feels good, and um, it just makes a difference, because you can have spaces that look good but not necessarily feel good. Do you remember thinking about that when you did design? Like there can be a space that looks really cool, but to live in it would not feel right or feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like my spiritual practice, I'm a kitchen witch, and everything I do is about nurturing the home, nurturing the family. Mostly it's centered on, cooking and food, but it expands out to the rest of the house. So my husband and I talk all the time about how every place in our home is
Right,
comfortable. It's
right.
soft. It gives you it's
Energy.
sanctuary like.
Right.
It's womb like. You just want to there's every place you go, there's some place to curl up and find comfort. Because
Isn't
that's
that
what
important? Yeah.
it's so important. It's so important. And again, I don't necessarily think people give their surroundings the time of day in that they don't think, like you said, to your point, and I want to kind of expand on it, the idea of your space informing your inner world and your inner world informing your space. I say all the time, your outer world is a reflection of what's going on inside of you, whether that
Exactly.
is your friends, the people you hang out with, your job, the things that are coming at you. If you look at your life and you go, oh my God, this is a crap pile of shit, you maybe need to look at what's going on inside yourself. Right. So,
Right. And
can you?
like sometimes they say, like in your office, does your office ever look around and it's all chaotic, and then internally you feel chaotic too? Uh-oh, did I hit a bell or something?
I mean, maybe a little bit, a little bit, but it is a challenge. Can
But
you
yeah.
can you talk a little bit? Can you expand a little bit more on that idea of how that space, like living in that space that isn't uh decluttered or is overwhelming, how that can affect
Oh my gosh,
yourself?
I have a list here of 18 things of how it affects you. And
Excellent.
I can go through a few. Some you're going to feel more tired and lethargic. Keeps you in the past. Like if you're I always tell people, does your home reflect who you are, who you want to become, or are you living in the past? So, that's a good thing to think about. Um, it can congest you. I've seen where it's had physically has an impact on you. It affects body weight. If you're holding on to things, you're probably also eating too much and holding it in your body as well. Um,
Wow.
confuse you and make you nervous, so cause anxiety, and these are just a few. I've just give you a few there. But
Wow.
yeah, you can feel ashamed, put your life on hold because you don't want to have people over, because
Yeah.
you're not doing something about it. And it really can affect your life when you don't organize, get yourself in order, and let go of stuff. It really makes a difference. People feel like they have to hold on to so many things where in reality, it doesn't, it's okay. We're going to leave this world anyway, you don't have to hold on
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah. And that again is such a metaphor for our personal lives. It's such a metaphor for our emotional health,
Right,
and our mental health. Like if you're, like you said, if you're holding on to stuff from, 20 years ago.
right. That doesn't even make sense to your life now, or everything you own has a story to it. Pick up something in your office, in your space, and say, what story? I mean, somebody may have given it to you, maybe somebody you really, really like, and you love the piece because you love them, but maybe it's an old boyfriend that caused you a lot of harm and anxiety and all that. And why are you holding on to it? Maybe it's a pretty thing, but every time you look at it, those feelings come back. So it's time to let that go. And
Wow.
yeah, if you don't love it or use it, let it go.
Wow. That's really, really interesting. And I talk a lot about, cleaning out your kitchen space and making sure that you get like in the back cabinets, right? And like you gotta,
Yeah,
you like if you have this one mug that's sitting in the back that you've had for 14 years and it's chipped and you never use it, throw it the hell out. Like it's not doing you any good.
I
But
have a mug like that, I have to say.
right? I mean, listen, we all do, and that's
But
why
that
it's
mug,
funny.
I don't know, maybe it's not chip, but it's something about love. And I got it when I was a Avon lady at 14 years old. So it has such happy meaning.
Yeah.
But yeah, but if it didn't have that meaning, it'd be out of there.
But those objects hold energy.
Yes.
Right. And that's kind of what we're talking about is that these things, they hold energy, and that clutter, and we're going to get into that in a second, but that clutter can energetically pile up like negative vibes, like dust bunnies, how I view it
Right.
in my mind,
Exactly.
right? So talk to us a little bit about, because there's a lot of like decluttering. Everybody's talking about
Right.
decluttering, right? What does clutter specifically mean to you? Like, and how does that, how do you recommend people deal with that for their
Right.
physical health, emotional health, and their spatial health?
I'll go. So, just what is clutter? It's things you don't, like I said, do not use or love, things that don't make you happy, aren't joyous or positive. There are things that are untidy or disorganized. I mean, you could have paper clutter, you can have mental clutter, but decluttering the physical stuff will help with the mental clutter as well. It's
Mm,
too many things in too small of a space. You feel that's where you feel constricted and there's no breathing room.
mm,
And anything finished, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, for example, say you have that knitting project in your closet that you started 5 years ago and never finished. Every time you open your closet, even when you're not thinking about it, that energy of, not finishing something comes to you. And so when you're decluttering, you look at that and you say, okay, I'm going to finish it in 1 month. I'm going to do this, or I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to throw it
mm.
out, give it away to someone who might finish it for you, or let it go. And it just frees you up, like I said, for your desire. So it just frees you up for for better things to come into your life. I always say life is constant change. When something comes into your life, enjoy it, use it well. And when it's time, letting it go will free up space, time, and energy for the things that really do matter.
What is your thought on, and this is me, okay, 100%.
Yes.
I keep things relatively clean. I do have what I like to call organized clutter. because I
Me
do,
too, because
right?
we're
Like
busy, busy.
and I'm running a business, like you're running a
Yes,
business, right? So I do have like my organized clutter piles of it. This is the bill pile, and this is it. I know what it is. It doesn't stress me out most of the
yes.
time.
I call it organized clutter, but it
Yes.
works.
But I also have like, I'm really gonna get like really,
Okay, go ahead, go for
it's
it.
like a confessional, right?
Yes.
Things that you hide in a closet. I'm
You
just
have
gonna throw that in there and
right.
close the door really fast.
In feng shui, there's no hiding spaces. So no attic, no closet. If it's in your energy field, still holding onto it, it's in your subconscious mind. It's still affecting you. So it doesn't
Mm.
matter if it's in a basement, an attic, a storage room, a closet. It's still affecting you. So it's important to clean out those spaces as well and let go.
And those hidden spaces are blocking the energy flow, right? In the feng shui.
Right. Yes, exactly. Because it's all still, you're holding on to it, whether you're aware of it or not. Now, I do have a little trick for decluttering. So, one thing I tell people is the grocery bag trick, where you take a one. Okay, so if you're overwhelmed, like sometimes when you're overwhelmed, it's so hard to get started. So, once a week, take a grocery bag and fill it up, go through your home or one area of your home and fill that one grocery bag up with stuff that you think you can let go of, put it in your garage for a week. And then um, you know, after that week, if you don't feel the need to bring something back in, try to let it go, then you let it go, either throw things away, give them away, donate them, whatever you want to do with them, but get them out of you got to give them away. And just one bag a week. And if you keep doing this, you will notice a change. You will also start having more energy. Maybe you do 2 grocery bags in a week or 3, or maybe there's a weekend where you spend a half a day, because all of a sudden when you let go of things, you start having more energy, and it gives you
Mm.
energy to keep going. So just start out small and watch it grow.
I think this is really, really brilliant. And I love this idea of the baby steps
Yes.
of changing. It's all about mindset, right? So we're talking about interior design, we're talking about feng shui, we're talking about cleaning, but
Right.
really, really what we're talking about is healing past trauma. We're really talking about clearing out energetic garbage that is like static clinging to these
Right.
objects so that we can be more open in our hearts and in our minds and
Right.
allow better things to come towards us and making
Right. I
space
you know,
for the new.
I wrote this little paragraph a long time ago. I want to read because I haven't read it in a while. But it
Yes,
says feng shui is not magic. It is simply a recognition of your own truth and expressing that truth or energy within yourself and the environment which you live. By beginning the feng shui journey, you are truly opening yourself to your own consciousness and greater connectedness in all of life. So when you make conscious choices, you allow yourself to open your own heart and to the heartbeat of the world. So
absolutely
that's
beautiful.
kind of what we're talking about, right?
Absolutely beautiful. And in my world, that
Mhm.
actually is considered magic because
Right,
anything you're doing with intention and visualization really is transformative for your personal life and your personal growth. Would you
right.
agree?
I would. I mean, and I still think, like, I just don't want people to think it is magic. It's they're miracles, little
Yeah,
miracles.
little miracles.
Right. But some people can't get to that point of seeing that. So I want them to know that I don't know if that's a more scientific explanation or not, but it does something. And I know, like in witchcraft and things like that, it's all very similar, because in feng shui we make adjustments, cures, and blessings. And and witchcraft may have a little different connotation to some people, but there's good stuff in all of this.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
all like you said, it's all the
all
same.
good. It's
It's
all
all
the
the same
same.
stuff.
Exactly. There's
We
so many ways to manifest, and there's just different terms to them.
Yes. And
Too.
I love these concepts of feng shui in the because it brings it into real space. It brings it into tactile use and, practical energy movement throughout your home, right? So
Right.
could you give us, as you're talking about fixes and blessings and all that stuff, the layperson who has never studied feng shui or design has no idea what you're talking about. So
Right.
can you give us, for those people who don't know, what is,
Some different
yeah,
ideas
and what are
on how to do.
fixes? What does that
Right.
even mean?
Cures, right. Adjustments. So there's
Cures.
something called, yeah, the feng shui bagua that we use. There's different ways in feng shui. And you can read my book and learn about some
You
of them.
absolutely can. I
Like,
tell you, I have a bagua right here next to my desk.
really?
Yeah,
Let's,
right here. I've had it since design school, and
oh my gosh.
I've taken it with me into absolutely every, it's a clear sheet that I
Okay.
can overlay onto the floor plan of wherever I live. And
Oh,
it's followed me
everywhere.
through my entire in the last 20 years. It's been with
Wow.
me forever. So it's just
Oh, that's
serendipitous that
amazing.
happens to be sitting next
Yes.
to me right now. So tell everybody what's a
What is
bagua.
Agwa is a tool that you can lay over, like, or a map that you lay over the floor plan of your home or a space or over the blueprint. And it is a grid that you divide into 9 equal spaces. And each area, each of these 9 areas is corresponds to a specific life area. For example, one area might be wealth, fame and reputation, love and relationships, which is a marriage or business partnership, health, but there's 9 different areas. And, if your house is perfectly square, that's going to be easy to divide it into 9 spaces. I'm talking about each floor. I would just look at the main floor because the bottom of the feng shui bagua would be where your front door is. And you may see different things about direction. There's directional feng shui, but I work with Black Sect Buddhist feng shui, which is based on where your front door is at. It was brought over to the Western world to simplify it for us Westerners. And so what you do is you, like, say you want more wealth. Who doesn't want more wealth and abundance and things like that? So you find the area on your floor plan and you can make an adjustment. Now, every one of these spaces has an element that can be used as an adjustment and a color. And so just for an example, the wealth area would be, the color is purple and the element is wood. So you could add, you can paint the room purple, but it doesn't have to. You can put a purple sculpture, a piece of art that has purple flowers, to
Mhm.
make that adjustment. But sometimes I've gone into people's homes and they're really stuck in finances and they have a lot of debt. And we look at that area and it's a cluttered room, not even being used. So the energy is not even flowing. So
Wow.
the first thing to do is obviously clean it out,
Yeah.
space clear it, and then, make our adjustments and make it into, like you said, a cozy room, a room that feels good. Put some purpose into the room. What can you use it for? Do you need an art room? Do you need a little office? Let's make it into something where you're actually using it, and then add these adjustments. You can add wood. Now, a wood element would be like a plants, and they can be real or silk or latex. I don't like dried plants because they're dead energy.
Mhm.
So you can add wood furniture. Wood can be used. Wood also has a color to it. A wood energy is very entrepreneurial energy. So each element, we have 5 elements, they all have different energies to them. So the wood energy is entrepreneurial, but to add wood, like I said, plants, wood, the color green
Mhm.
adds wood energy. So you can paint that room a shade of green that you like
Right.
too, and
And put a purple potted flower in that room. And
flower,
now you've
right.
got,
Yeah, you
right,
can do a couple things, but I wouldn't overdo it,
right,
because one really makes the statement. And
right.
when you put that intention, we do what's called the 3 secrets of reinforcement. So you paint the room green or whatever, add that beautiful plant or a purple flower piece of art, and then you you place the object, get that ready, And then it's called secret of mind. You think of your intention, you imagine, feel it, feel the wealth, feel more money coming in, paying off your debt, everything's flowing nicely. You really feel it. You have to feel when you manifest something as if it's already happened. You're already there. Sometimes it takes practice to get into that feeling. And then we say the three are the secret of speech, which is, have you heard when you took feng shui, did you have Om, Omani Padme Om?
Yes.
So you say that 9 times, and that kind of sets it in motion. What that means is it's a Sanskrit phrase, which means the opening kind of a lotus blossom to reveal its true essence, which is the soul. So it's nothing too far out there. And you say it 9 times because 9 is a very auspicious number coming from China. So we do a lot of things in increments of 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's just a way to put it in place, put your intention in place and let it go. Don't worry about how it's going to happen. Just focus on the end result, how it
Mm-hmm.
feels, and let it go and just kind of watch what happens. So that's one
Wow.
way to make an adjustment. There's other ways. And in chapter 8 of my book, it's really great because I kept it simple. It's all about Bagua because if your house isn't perfectly square, there's some modifications you have to do. And they're very simple once you read about them on how to do it. Because sometimes you're missing a piece in a home, which can cause like it's when you're missing a area, say you're missing wealth, it can it can be stressful. And then you have to know how
Yeah.
to adjust for that. Because like sometimes I've gone in, people are having a lot of trouble like with wealth again, or say it's in partnership, they're missing all of partnership and they are not finding a partner, so there are ways to adjust for that. Or you can have a blessing, which is you can have an extension, which is a
Mm.
blessing in an area, which means you're going to have, blessings in that area. You want to make sure you keep that area
Mm.
very nice because it's helping you in your life.
I want to ask a question because
Yeah.
it's been a long time for me since I've
Right.
done any of this stuff. So, if memory serves, that setting up the bagua is that not necessarily use of the front door, but it is you orient it to the door that is your primary entrance. Is that correct?
Yes, but it gets a little confusing.
Right.
I'd say, like, no, it needs to be your front door. So your front door is your front door. It's not like if you go in through your garage, it's not based on your garage door. And it's very, very important if you use your garage door a lot to make it a point to come in through your front door. It brings good energy several times a week. You see how people view you when they come through your front door. It's, a perspective, but it also will bring good energy. So it is based on your actual front door, not what the door, if you're using a different door more often.
Yeah, we never use our front door.
Right.
It's
Well,
like
you're going
never.
to change. You need to just come in through the front door, maybe once a week. Come in through your front door, feel it out, bring the energy, the good energy. And the front door should also be painted a color that's different than anything else on the home, different than the shutters, the siding, the roof. It should be a totally different. And it's fun to have like fun columns or pots of plants to really highlight that front door because we call that the mouth of chi. So it's the mouth of energy, where the energy flows into the home.
Hmm. That's very interesting.
So there, I hope I answered your question.
That's very interesting. And then
Not
and
what you
then
want
a
to hear.
follow question to that.
Yes.
Can you also use, and again, I'm just remembering
Yeah.
things from 20 years ago. One of the things that I remember was that you could take your bagua and also like it's the overall home, but then you could put it for each room as well.
Yes, absolutely. Based on the door of that room is the
Right.
way it orientates itself. And you can feng shui for that as well. So there's so many layers of feng
Wow.
shui. And then once you learn this type of feng shui, if you want to dabble in compass feng shui and do a few things there, but if you try to learn that all at once, it's going to totally confuse you.
It's way too much.
It's
All
way
right.
too.
On that note, let's take a quick break and hear from our awesome sponsors. And then when we get back from the break, we're going to talk about your amazing book, um, which I'm very excited about. So we'll be right back with Julie Ann Segal. We're back with Julie Ann Segal, and we're talking about design and feng shui and how your space can really change the energy of your life, which is so freaking cool. In fact, you've written a brand new book called Change Your Space to Change Your Life. I
Yes,
have
I
it.
have. There
Look
it
at
is.
this book. It's really, it's really good because you've made it so that people that have no idea what feng shui is
That was
can really use this to improve their home and their space and their energy.
right.
So what you had said at the very beginning that you thought when you were a kid, like, oh, maybe one day I could write a book. How did you come to this? How did this happen?
It was very organic how it all came to me, and learning feng shui and just going through life and seeing just became very clear as life went on what I was supposed to write about. And I do combine some interior design with the feng shui. And in the book, I did. I'm so glad you said that, because said about making it good. I mean, I think for the general public to understand and keeping it simple, like
Yeah.
feng shui can even go deeper than what I wrote about. But I wanted to give you the tools that are very impactful, that really have helped me too in my life, um, and work with that and give you design ideas as well to work with. So it came about through, I started a newsletter when I started my business, um, back when I was 27 years old. And I had a newsletter. It went out through the mail. So, and then,
Wow.
yeah, I had people help me over time, and I learned more about writing through all the people who helped me. I had some amazing people over the years that helped me with that. And then eventually went online, and all the writing. So this is what we were writing about, and
Yeah.
taking those elements and putting them into a book, and writing about it. And I had to do it in baby steps because I had 4 kids, and it's a lot to write. And I got a big jump in 2020. That was a blessing. So I got to write more during that time, which pushed me further along. And in 2021, I hired amazing like book coach editor person, because I just felt like I needed that guidance. And she really got me in really good shape to get the book out to a publisher, and sent it out to 10 publishers, and Llewellyn picked it up. I was really happy because they're located right here in my hometown.
Well, that's
So it's,
great.
yeah, it's been fun to do all that. It's just been quite a journey to get to this point. And I already starting on a second book. And I think that next one will be maybe feng shui in business.
That
Like
is so
how,
cool.
yeah. So I'm thinking, that's where I'm going next. And
That's really
I
cool.
started it. I'm trying to get it started. I've started
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
bit.
I would read the hell out of that. I mean, again, I did like when I got my office warehouse where we where so my day job now is I run a kitchen witchy gourmet food company called Cucina Aurora Kitchen
That's
Witchery.
so cool. I
So
want to
that's
know more about that.
yeah, it's everything is based in love, and we make delicious food. We make infused olive oil and tomato sauces and all of that, and everything is done with intention and visualization. And
Where is it sold?
well, nowhere in the Midwest really right now. We're really focused on the
Oh,
East Coast, but we ship everywhere. CucinaAurora.com. But
okay. Yeah, I will.
when I
Look.
first got into the building that my company is housed in, I went through and I was like, okay, well, I need to put a water fountain and something green in this money corner of my office
Right.
so that it will flow in. And now I don't work from there anymore. I work from home most of the time, so like
Right.
everything's dusty and everything needs to be like redone over there. But the truth is that these principles of feng shui can really change your life, and that the book says change your space to change your life. And you had a lot of personal experience with this. Would you share with us how this helped
Sure.
you through hard times in your life?
Well,
You had mentioned your
I one of
divorce.
my yeah, my divorce, and I talk about that a little bit in the book. But um I I remember making feng shui changes in my home when the marriage wasn't going so well, and we had four little kids. And I did make changes, but instead of bringing me closer to my husband at the time, it pushed me, it said, go in a different direction. It pushed
Wow.
me in a different direction. And so that's sometimes it's not going to be what you think. So you have to just go with the flow. And so when I went through my divorce, I was given this little house that I got to have my business out of. I knew the property manager, or the owner of it. He owned a lot of apartment buildings, and I do a lot of apartment common areas like the lobbies and stuff. So I was all into that. But he had this little Victorian home in a quaint area of Minneapolis, and I rented it out to have my business, but it ended up being a place when I was going through divorce where I lived for a year, like 6 months, half time, because we keep the kids in the house. And then when we sold the house, I was there for 6 months, or, because I didn't know till the divorce was over where I was going to go.
Wow.
So that was hard, but I really pulled inward and I worked on my business because I had to grow it too, because I didn't think my ex would continue to pay me, which he was supposed to, and he didn't. I was right, my intuition. So I worked on growing my business, and worked on my intentions in there, and so many amazing things happened after my divorce. So like it was meant to be. And today I have to say my ex-husband and I are friends. He's a very friendly guy, and we're friends. We're meant to have kids together, I guess, because we have four great kids. But when I got divorced and was able to get my new apartment, which was a high rise in a great area of Minneapolis on a city lake. And I didn't know I was going to get that, but it was on my vision board. So it happened and it just came to me. So that was pretty cool. I do vision board classes as well. So it's a
Mhm.
whole other way of manifesting. But I let him have all the furniture. I let him have everything, all the
Wow.
dishes. I kept a few of my favorite pieces of art and maybe a few of my favorite serving dishes, and that was it. I started fresh because I knew I didn't want that energy coming with me.
Yeah.
That was the best thing that I did. I just let it go. And I moved into my apartment without a sofa. I had a bed that I got from IKEA just to get started. And um, because I was an interior designer, the property managers of this building, they let me pick out all my paint colors and they painted for me. And they also let me pick out window treatments, light fixtures,
Wow.
other type of fixtures, and they paid for it all and let me design my own apartment space. That was kind of nuts,
So
but I
cool.
had to have that in my mind, and it happened. But I did was very becoming very attuned to feng shui, and I looked for a place that would be supportive for me because I know if any of you have gone through divorce or know someone who has, it can be very challenging financially and emotionally, and I needed
Yeah.
support in both areas. And the area of I had an extension in wealth in this apartment. So remember I said there can be blessings. So I
Mhm.
picked this apartment. I'm like, it has an extension of wealth. People, okay, there's something called predecessor energy that I talk about. Look at who lived there or who worked there. Where did they go? Who were they? Because that energy is going to be there when you come in. And it was very wealthy people that had been living there who were going back to live in their castle, I heard. So I don't know. And they had some custom things because they knew the owner of the building.
Right.
Also, I found Hubert Humphrey lived in my unit at one point, like big, like vice president of the United States, or there's different characters that had lived there that just made it kind of like, okay, I'll take this. And then I didn't have, I was really scared because how
Yeah.
am I going to financially do this? And I wanted to put intention into the wealth area. So I bought this piece of art that was just, it felt like wealth to me. It had purple flowers, like I said, but also had some reds, and it was like bursting. It looked like flowers bursting in the air. It had so much joy to it. And I
Mhm.
put it in my wealth area besides having the wealth extension. And I made my Om Mani Padme Oms. I did that and let it go. And within a year, I quadrupled my business. So
Wow.
the second year, the that the people, the building hired me to design all 20 hallways in the building to redesign. And a lot
Wow.
of things, a lot of amazing things happened after divorce that, and then, I was there for 9 years and then was able to buy my own place where I live in a really nice townhome out in the suburbs now. So
Wow. I mean,
yeah,
this shit works. I mean, really, that's what it
and
works. Yeah.
I
Wow.
made I made that space. It wasn't a huge apartment, but I made it really nice, and it was had a beautiful view out the window, and it overlooked like so much. It was just so beautiful, and looking at the lake every
Right.
day. It
Right.
was a good way to start a new life, which propelled me into other areas. And I just try to stay positive every day, and help my clients to stay positive. And
It's
it's just,
it's
yeah,
pretty amazing. It's pretty I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty amazing. So what is it that you hope people will get out of your new book, Change Your Space to Change Your Life?
that they can have positive things happen to them, that they can make changes in their space that will help them in their life. And that even just making it more supportive to who they want to become. If they're not there yet, create it. If they want to be a writer, have the desk, have the space to start writing, make time, even if it's 2 hours on a Friday, every Friday, baby steps. But to learn some of these concepts and start incorporating them into their home. And if they need me, I do virtual consultations too, if they're not right here in the Minneapolis area. So keep that in
Yeah,
mind.
for sure. I mean, I think that's such a good point is making time, but also making space for the life you want.
Right.
It's very hard to make time for the things that you want to do. But if you don't have a space to do those things,
You're never going
you're never going to
to.
do it. You're
Right.
never, ever, ever going to do it. And then, it can be a challenge because maybe you actually don't have the space. My home is small. The room in which I'm in right now is my home office, but it's
Right.
also the space in which I do yoga in.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? Like I have just enough room in front of my desk to put my
Right.
yoga mat, right? So when I'm
Right.
on the yoga mat, I close my eyes and I don't look at my work stuff. I
Right.
don't
But the
have another.
energy's there. That might, it's not the best place. I mean, if
It's
that's what
not.
you have, and you do have to think creatively and use
Yes.
multi-purpose rooms,
Yes.
right? Multi-purpose, but maybe a office and yoga don't.
They don't
Well,
generally, they
it,
don't, but you have to work within what you have,
yes,
right?
exactly.
And so it's important that you apply these principles so that you can say, oh, well, maybe I don't have the space, but I can create that
That
space,
area, right?
right? I can create that space. So I can change the way the room feels
Mhm.
by closing my laptop, by
Right.
closing
You can
all of
do
my
if you
notebooks.
buy like a little screen to put behind your
Mm-hmm.
desk, so you don't even something that had to be lightweight that you could take out and put
Right.
up. It's really beautiful, but then
Right.
you can get into that
Right.
space.
I have a salt lamp. I'll turn the lights
Yeah,
off. So, like, all
you can
these little
create it.
things you can create. And I think that's very important as people are listening and they might go, I live in a studio apartment. I can't feng shui anything. Oh, no, you
Yes, you
can
can.
because it's really
Yes.
about the use of the space and being able to create that flow of energy within the space.
Right. And putting the intention into the space, like using the feng shui bagua, you can, if you have a little studio apartment, you could still use that bagua. You can still work with feng shui elements. You can
Right.
still create, like you said, a yoga space. It's just a mat you pull out, how are you going to do that? How are you going to make it feel right for you?
Right.
Like, I love your idea with the salt lamp and turning the lights down and all
Mhm.
that and creating that.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I'm a witch, so like I'll be like, oh, I want to do, root chakra magic today. And so I'm going to be like, okay, red candles, so
Right,
I light a red candle and I focus on that in
right,
this half of the room. And then later on in the afternoon, and I never go from like yoga mat to desk. I
right,
will leave the room,
right,
come back in, turn the light on, and now I'm looking at it in a
right.
different way.
That's called intention. You're really work and being conscious of what you're doing. So
Right.
many people go through life without being conscious about what they're doing, even in their relationships,
Boy,
you
isn't that
know?
the truth?
Yeah,
Right. So to have intention and understanding of your space, having spatial awareness, where you are, when you are, and what is my intention for action in this space at the moment? Who am I in this space right now?
right.
I think
Exactly.
is a big deal.
Right. And thinking about what you want to have. I have this exercise called the be, do, have exercise.
Mm.
And when you fill it out, it helps you get clarity. And a lot of people, I think, don't even have the clarity on what they want to do, be, and have. And so if anybody does want this exercise, I'm happy to send it to them. You can email me at julie@metrointeriors.com and I can send you that exercise.
I want it.
That this could, yeah, I'll send it to you as soon
Oh
as
my
we
God.
get
I totally
off.
want it. I
And it
totally
just
want it.
it helps you. I use it when I do vision board class,
Yeah.
but it's good for anything, just to get clarity. And our life changes too. Maybe what we wanted 5, 10 years ago isn't what we want today. So it's good to kind of revisit these things now and then as well.
So good. So good. Julianne, you're awesome. And
Thank
your
you.
book
So
is
are
really
you?
great. I really like, as soon as we are done with this interview, I want to like rip all my spaces apart and clean them. Like that's just, and it's funny because I said to my husband this morning, I'm like, it feels like spring cleaning day. Like it's just what it
Good.
feels like to me today. Um,
Good. And we
right.
do it.
Julianne, tell everybody where they can find you online and how to buy your book. Where do
Yeah.
we buy your book?
Yes. So my website is metrointeriors.com. Please go on there and sign up for my newsletter to stay in my design. You get design tips, before and after pictures, feng shui related articles, things of that nature. And I don't over email them out. So, but to also, I'm going to start doing more classes. I just did a big online vision board class that went really well. It was so
Cool.
much fun. Um, but there's that, and it's my email, julie@metrointeriors.com. There's a book page on my website at metrointeriors.com that has different links to where to get my book. So you can just go to Amazon, put it in, Barnes and Noble, Llewellyn, but all the links are there on the book page. And also on the book page, which is I want to tell people about, is that I have different chapters there. You can click on chapters, and because I couldn't have photos in my book, I have some like after pictures or before and after pictures or items I want to show you that I couldn't have in the book. So you can click on
Cool.
the different chapters and maybe see a photo of something that was in the book that you couldn't
Fabulous.
see. So look at that too. Um, but that's,
Fantastic.
yeah. So I think I gave you all the information. And
Yeah.
to you want the be, do, and have exercise, just email me and I will get that. I will send it off.
Excellent. And we'll put all of your information, all of those links and everything will be on the show notes. So if anybody
Okay.
didn't catch that, you can just go right over there and click on the links. Um, Again, the book is called Change Your Space to Change Your Life by Ann Segal. And it's through Llewellyn. So you can also get this at your local bookstore. So if you have local bookstores,
Yeah.
you can walk right in and say, hey, please order me this book. And they will support your local bookstores at all times if you can.
Yes. I will.
Okay. Julianne, one last question for you. And I ask this question to all of my guests and has nothing to do with feng shui or design. Okay. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes, I'm
Okay.
ready.
Okay.
Think so.
If you could have me as a kitchen witch cook you one magical meal, what
Oh,
would it be and why?
oh my gosh. It's so weird that I'm not thinking. It's just the thing that came to me is beef stroganoff.
Beef stroganoff.
I know I had it the other day. It was so delicious. But that just sounds really good to me. And I'm not a huge beef eater. I eat a lot of veggies, things like that, but
Mhm.
That would
but
be a
like over noodles,
yeah,
like
over
over egg
noodles.
noodles.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
sour cream and
Mm, that's
oh,
delicious. I made a beef stroganoff during the pandemic. It was like one of the first times I ever made it because it's not so, again, we don't eat a lot of beef,
right,
but I had
right.
this weird craving. And Justin, my husband, doesn't care for mushrooms. So I was like, well,
Okay, the mushroom.
yeah, but I was like, what if I chopped them up really tiny?
So we
And
didn't.
I went to the local farm because we have a local farm 2 miles up the road, and they grow their own cattle and they process their own beef. And I bought like beef tips from them, and I made this
Ooh,
stroganoff out of that. It was
was so good.
amazing.
Oh, I
It
want you to
was like
come make it for me.
melts in your mouth, delicious. So I don't
How
blame
far
you.
are
That's
you from? How far are you from New York? Because my daughter, son, and a different my daughter, son, what am I trying to say? Son-in-law and grandson live near the Muncie area, Muncie, New York.
I
Is
don't
that
even know
far
where
from
that is.
New
I don't
Hampshire?
even know where that is. I'm about 4.5 to 5 hours from New York City,
Far. I'm like,
northeast.
I'll
Yeah.
just,
Yeah,
I
you'll
gotta
just have to make a trip
come
to
over
New
to
Hampshire
New
at some point, and
Hampshire.
I'll cook. And then
Yeah.
you can tell me how bad the
Yeah.
shui is in my house.
No, it sounds
Julian,
like it's lovely.
you are simply delightful. Thank you so much for joining us today on Conversational Witchcraft.
Yeah.
Remember, go by Change Your Space to Change Your Life by Julianne, and you find her at metrointeriors.com. You can find more information on this podcast and on me at cucinaaurora.com. Remember, if you want to support us, click the link to support the podcast and make sure you like and subscribe because we love what we're doing and we love chatting with people like Julianne and we want to keep doing it. And until next time, everyone, I wish you so many blessings and so much gratitude. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.